Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man. We're looking at a Viking HUSQVARNA 150E made in Sweden. And why are we looking at this one? It came in for service because it was squeaking. I had serviced it back years ago and it was squeaking again. Good Lord, why is it squeaking? Well, I'll show you. In the back, I have the back taken off, so I'm going to spin it around here after I show you that it's not a bad little machine. It's not a bad little machine. You know me, I'm always throwing rocks at Vikings, and I fix Vikings for good customers of mine who've taken them to places where they say, yeah, we don't work on Vikings anymore. So they bring them to me because my customers have half dozen machines. They have a Viking and a Bernina, and they'll have a this and a that. So they'll take their Viking back to the place they bought it, thinking they will get some support from those folks, and they're like me. I don't want to mess with no Viking. And that's me too. I'm not a big fan of Viking because they almost always have a tragic flaw, a plastic problem, something's broken. It's a waste of everybody's time. I tell people, don't even bring them to me. And this one here is the exception, all right? This little guy right here, the 150E, let me spin it around here so you can see what I'm talking about. In the back, let me unplug it, get to the business of what's going on back here. Here is the inside. You take the back off, one screw, the back slides right off, which is kind of nice until you go to put it back on, and then you find out that you have to get like an act of Congress to get it back on. I'll show you that in a second. But looking back here inside, you say, okay, what's the phrase we always use? If it hinges, rotates, pivots, or slide, it gets a drop of oil. That's almost like a little song. If it hinges, rotates, pivots, or slides, it gets a drop of oil. That means where your main shaft goes through a bearing, right here, a drop on either side. This idler right here, this is down here, this little idler, this is the one that's famous for squeaking. And the FOFs have this too on there. This is the timing belt. This is the dry belt. Timing belt. This makes the top and bottom sync together. So this is the idler that you adjust the tightness on it, and it's plastic, it's nylon, I guess, running on metal. And just like in the Kenmores where you have the reverse that is a nylon sliding on metal, it dries out almost immediately and starts squealing. Drop of oil on either side, this thing squeals like crazy, and you're like, you gotta be kidding me. It screams at you. The motor can be oiled on this one. It's one of the old school motors. Fractional horsepower. You'll see this motor a lot. This motor is in so many machines. It's just a standard. And right inside here, let me show you what we're talking about. Right inside here, where I put my oil, there's felt right there. There's felt, a little reservoir felt that feeds that shaft, and there's one on either end. You can put a drop or two in there, and you keep that oiled. That'll keep the motor from squealing. It's got replaceable motor brushes, which is a plus. Because if this machine had a whole lot of use or whatever, you could put new motor brushes in. You unscrew this, slide the motor brush in, you're done. So that's good. It's got some good stuff going for it. Up in here, a lot of the newer Vikings, they're almost the worst at this particular thing is in this area up here. In the 70s, they started putting all plastic in there, just plastic, and the take-ups, which is absurd. But there's just metal in there. It really does. It's amazing. There's metal, metal. That's plastic. It's just no, it's metal. Let me see what we got. Get out the magnet so I don't get fooled by the paint. That's metal. That's metal. Sticking to that. That's sticking to that. Sticking to that. Sticking to that. This is one of those rare, oh so rare, Viking HUSQVARNAs made in Sweden back in the day that actually was well done. It's got a nice solid frame. It's got a cast alloy frame. And I would recommend that if you can find one of these and you sit and sew on it and know that it doesn't have a tragic flaw, don't just see the picture online and go, oh, that's the one he was talking about. Because if it shows up with the foot control bad or missing, it says it's electronic, and that just means the foot control has an electronic relay in there. But there's not much electronic going on here, and that's kind of why it's still probably running. It's got a manual reverse, manual everything. It's an analog machine. But this little guy, I was going to show you put that back on. Putting this back on is just crazy. And when I say crazy, I'm being kind. There are contact points where it slides on. You got to know this. You got one here, 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 and you have to make sure it slides down and snaps in behind here, and then the screw goes in. So you have to line up this one, this one, this one, and this one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you put this on, you have to be able to hold your mouth just right. And it's a finesse move. Getting the bottom one to line here, this one to line here. Then you got to push the top in. And I may not be able to get it first try because I'm not the best at this. There may be people. And when it's cold, it's even harder. When it's warm, it's a little more flexible. But you get the bottom one on, you get this top one on, and you get the top one up here and the bottom one down there. You get them all to line up. That's not on, that there. This is a nightmare. You get the bottom one on and the top one, and it snaps into place. It is a nuisance, but that's the worst of it. And you got to get your screw in the hole there and put the back on. But all things considered, you know, it's a machine if you can get for next to nothing, and you're running it and finding out the foot control works. It's got a funky plastic foot control, and if you get it to working and you sit down and makes a nice stitch like this one does, then you say, okay, how much you want for it? $50, $100? I'll take it. It's going to sew for a while. So that's the Viking HUSQVARNA 150E. It's the outlier of the Vikings, the Viking HUSQVARNAs. The new ones, don't even bring them to me. I don't want them electronic this, and sensors and all the, no. This one here's an analog. It might do the job for you. All right? Thanks.